You are at Lake Rant, where I rant about whatever my $10 a month plus patrons want me to rant about. You can get one of these by being one of those. This one's for Aaron Jaegermeister, who says, rant about the hypothetical situation in which you meet past versions of yourself, specifically you as an 8-year-old and you as an 18-year-old. There's this movie called The Kid, starring Bruce Willis, in which a middle-aged man suddenly encounters himself as a kid, and at first he mistreats himself, but then comes to terms with this past and becomes a better man. Beautiful movie, 10 out of 10, one of my faves. Having said that, what would happen if you encounter 18-year-old and 8-year-old Digi wandering around your house? How would your interactions be? Would you get along? How would your fiance react to them? What would you answer 8-year-old Digi if he asks about your job as an anime YouTuber, considering at that point YouTube didn't exist? And if I recall, you didn't know what anime was. What would 18-year-old pre-Pony Days, pre-PCP, pre-Otaku Gonzo Journalism Digi say about your success as an anime analyst YouTuber? And what would he say about your music or about some of your habits that you didn't have 10 years ago? Finally, what advice would you give them so they can learn from it or encourage them to continue into a successful career? Thanks for reading, and I hope it doesn't bother you getting too personal on a rant. Not at all. So, I don't think that a lot of the fundamental aspects of my personality have changed that much even since I was 8. A lot of my interests are the same. A lot of the way I act is the same. My 8-year-old self would probably be pretty stoked about the job that I have. He would not have known what anime was yet. However, it would not have been hard to explain. When I was 8, I was huge into Pokemon. My history had been, being into stuff like Godzilla and Power Rangers. I had knowledge of the idea that a lot of my favorite things came from Japan, so it pretty much would have just been a matter of explaining that. I don't know if I was already using the internet. I was. I was using the internet, but not for not for any social things or anything like that, just to look at the Pokemon website or download Beast Wars PNGs. But basically, I could just tell myself, one day there'll be a website that you can post video to, and you're going to be famous on that website. And my younger self would say, what am I famous for? And I'll say, talking about Japanese cartoons. And he'll go, yes, I did it! I never lost sight of who I am at this moment, and I never will. That's probably what my 8-year-old self would think. How would I don't think my 8-year-old self is somebody who necessarily could have gotten much out of things that I currently would try to tell him. I mean, I suspect if I met my 8-year-old self, it would be very surreal, because I would first of all realize just how little I knew, just how little I had developed as a person, and I'd have to try to figure out how do I interact with this kid who's got an incredibly avoidant personality and probably won't try to talk to me at all. Unless we talk about, I could probably easily talk to my 8-year-old self about Pokemon, about anything. Maybe I would try to teach him how to actually play Pokemon correctly. Not that I guess May would have to teach him how to play Pokemon correctly, so I would know that in the future. But how would she feel about the old versions of me walking around? Probably absolutely love it. Probably be her favorite thing that ever happened. But yeah, so I think I don't really know when it comes to saying things like, what would you tell your past self? It's on the one hand, there's a lot of lessons that could have helped me avoid a lot of pain. But on the other hand, I am happy right now. I'm happy with where my life is at. I don't really want to fuck with that. I wouldn't want to change the past and risk losing my present. I don't know what would change about me if I knew different things. I don't know what careers I would have gone into. I don't know what effect it would have had. Even if the advice I gave was good, and even if it made my, past self able to deal with certain things that they weren't before, that doesn't mean there wouldn't have been totally other issues that would have come up from whatever I tried to pursue. Maybe I would have gone down a route that current me doesn't know about or couldn't predict how it was going to go for younger me, So I don't really want to cause them to stray from the way they're going. I would probably warn younger me that things are going to suck for a while, but it's going to be good eventually. As for 18-year-old me, there's a much clearer through line. I mean, I'm 28 right now, so this is 10 years ago. And I would have just graduated from high school, started going to college. I probably would have told myself, drop out of college, don't fucking bother. You need to go do something. Like, get out of the house, either go get a job or just go explore. I mean, it's funny because when I graduated high school, my uncle basically wrote me this long ass letter imploring me to try to like bike across America, or to just like go out and see things, rather than go straight to college. It was very strange because his uncle I had not really interacted with that much throughout my life, and like I had no interest in biking around the country, and I particularly wasn't that interested in even traveling or going different places because the way I saw it, like the most essential elements of that stuff you can get a sense of through the internet, and I don't even completely disagree with that. I travel a lot more now, and I get a lot more out of it than I think I would have. But I mean, anything I would tell my 18-year-old self is something that I basically learned when I was 19 about that, like about, because I did eventually travel. I went to the Philippines for a month. I learned a lot there. I, and then I became a NEET for a year and a half. And so, like, I don't know. Again, this is a place where it's like I don't know what I would have done differently. I don't know how to change anything because the world is no different from the one that it was back then. I mean, like, I would say that when I was 18, I had already had the realizations that basically led me to this point in my younger teens. Um, so it was kind of like the attitude was always there. It was just about knowing, like, where will I be able to apply this? Like this energy, this passion, these interests. How can these turn into something that is profitable and, and that will make you happy in the long run, I guess. And I mean, it's not like my job is what made me happy. It's not like success is what's made me happy. Finding a relationship and just having stable income essentially is what makes me happy. Getting to do a job that I don't hate is a huge part of that. But it's more that I don't feel like I'm doing a job. It's not so much about. I don't think the mentality was necessarily like, oh, I'm going to go to work and love my job, so much as I'm going to make it feel like I'm always having fun. And it's not that my job 100% of the time feels like I'm always having fun, but it's not, there's no part of it that feels like work, really. So, aside from doing rants and editing, and even that, it's more about even getting into the mindset to do it rather than actually doing it being a negative experience. So yeah, I don't know, it's hard for me to imagine trying to change my trajectory to get here, when I'm happy with here. And I don't really think there's another version of my life where things went so well that I would be like, wow, this version of my life sucked. Like, what? There's not any like job I respect. Like, I could understand people saying like, oh, if I could do it again, I'd give myself the advice that would have made me rich or would have made me, I don't know, start investing. Or that's what I would have told my younger self. Start putting money away. Just that's it. Just start saving money. Open credit lines even sooner. Fucking and keep them completely healthy. Buy property while you're young. Yeah, I would have told my younger self, start making money as soon as you can, start saving it, and and buy a house. That's about it. That's the only thing that I would have done differently, I think. And don't spend so much money on weed.